It's good, Counter-Strike fans. Welcome back to another episode of my HLTV Fantasy. Today, we're going to be talking about IEM Krakow 2026. Now we're uh, in Poland still, but instead of Katowice, we're doing Krakow. Um, Stage 2, first video of the year. Apologies for missing the other videos. Was a bit sick, but now we're back and we can speak a little bit of fantasy goodness. It won't be a long video, but it'll definitely be something kind of in depth when we go over Krakow. But let's take a look at how we did in the first two fantasy events. So first we had Blast Bounty, which Paravision won. So if you have Paravision players, you did well. I believe they beat Falcons, so they didn't have any Falcon players either, and only got 4 points towards my season standings. And then for Krakow Stage 1, again, only 6 points. Decided to go and pick players that were going to face BC Game. Unfortunately, BC Game actually did qualify, but Legacy did poorly. Legacy bombed out, and Lotto gave me a minus 40. Otherwise, the other 4 picks were amazing. Maties, Noda, Longs, and Kraveni did really well. All 4 of them qualified as well to the next stage, which we're going to talk about right now. But let's take a look at what players actually did really well. So again, it was kind of a mix. We had Lucky from 3D Max, a couple of Astralis players, Centaurus, OC, Demon, Hunter, Noda. So a mix of lots of players. And I expect the same for this fantasy as well. Just really quickly, make sure to join the league. The invite will be in the link down below. If we get enough people in the league, then I might do like a league giveaway depending on how many people we have. But yeah, make sure to join the league. As you can see, I'm in that last right now. But Hunter, Mitsubishi, and Cash Likes are doing quite well as well. So for Krakow, again, 2 groups, Group A and Group B. 3 teams will qualify for the playoffs. Everyone else will be eliminated. Double elimination bracket. If we take a look at Group A, the opening matchups will be Furia versus Foot, Mongols versus G2 in the upper side of the upper bracket, and then in the lower side of the bracket we have Navi versus Paravision, and then Spirit versus Astralis. So looking at this, this Group A is the weaker one. Actually, no, Group A is actually the stronger one. So I would say it's weaker at the top of the teams, but I think the teams are more closer together in terms of skill. While Group B, it has the better teams and probably the contenders for Krakow, but they also have some of the worst teams in this stage. So looking at this, the contenders to win Group A definitely had to be Spirit, Furia. Paravision had been really strong, so I would definitely put them up there. I would say that's the top 3. And then you have outside shots of Mongols, G2, and then Navi making it as well. I don't see Astralis and I don't see Foot making it past even the lower round, first round. I think they will go 0-2. I can see Furia making it to the upper final and probably facing Spirit, and then maybe Paravision ending up winning around this area and getting to a lower final. Maybe facing someone like G2, Mongols, or Navi. So I will lock in Furia and Spirit with Furia winning the upper final, winning the group, Spirit finishing second, and I will. It's tough because I don't know if I trust Navi. Mongols are still unknown with Cobra Serra. It's definitely an upgrade on controllers, and they should look a lot better with Cobra Serra. G2 didn't look that great in stage 1. Sampayas was definitely missing a lot. He wasn't in the server, basically. Hunter had to carry them. I think Paravision might be the favorites, honestly, because they just come very strong into the season and they look well prepared. So yeah, I'm going to go with Furia, Spirit, and Paravision as the favorites, but be on the lookout for Mongols, G2, and Navi as well. For Group B, like I said, here are some of the more favorite teams. For example, Vitality, Falcons, Mouse, the stronger teams. But then you also have teams like NRG, BC Game, who aren't probably not gonna do much in this event. They're just happy to get here and get the BRS points. But for the opening round, we have Vitality versus BC Game, so s1mple versus ZywOo, FaZe versus 3D Max on the upper side of the Group B, and on the lower side we have Mouse versus NRG, and then Falcons versus Aurora. Again, I think the favorites have to be Vitality, Falcons, and Mouse, and I could see a Vitality Falcons upper final, with Mouse maybe winning on the lower final. Actually, maybe even Vitality Mouse. I just think while Falcons did beat Vitality in the previous stage, and they still look a little bit off. I know maybe Kyosuke is gonna be back, but that's gonna make Nico worse in his roles. He hasn't looked comfortable with Kyosuke in the team. So who knows how that's gonna go, but I think Mouse might be the group stage killer, so Mouse could face Vitality in the upper final. And you know what? Give me Mouse to win the Group B. Mouse, I'm hearing that they've been boot camping. They skipped Blast to boot camp for this event, so hopefully they step up here. And you know they like to play their group stages, so give me Mouse to win. And then we'll probably have Vitality as the other upper final team, and then Falcons might end up winning on a lower final run. If not Falcons, I could see FaZe or Aurora. I don't see 3D Max, I don't see NRG, and I don't see BC Game. But that's basically the tail of the tape. This is how the bracket looks. You just gotta worry about Group A and Group B for now, and then we'll get to the playoffs next event. So let's take a look at the most picked players. So for this event, we currently have Sontix being the most picked player with about 31%. We also have Dong from Spirit as well with 21%. Pick percentage around that percentage. Apex and Messi from Vitality, James and Noda from Paravision, and then Nico and Tessa. So you can see there are some clear favorites right now. People are backing Spirit, people are backing Vitality, Falcons, and Paravision, the teams that have done quite well in the beginning of the year. And now we can go player by player. So really quickly, for Vitality, it's your usual suspects. It has to be ZywOo is always going to be good value, but at 235, can you afford a good team around him? Who knows? I would not pick Apex. I think there's better value elsewhere. Robs didn't start off the year too strong. I think he put up under a 1.1 rating at Blast. So I'll be careful with him, and I think he does better in playoffs. Yeah, I think I wouldn't spend much in Vitality. If you had to spend, I think Messi is still a good option just because he's 209. He's the cheapest, and doesn't break the bank. Because if you're going for a goal player, you definitely want a goal player that's gonna take over a game. I just see all four of these Vitality players kind of sharing rating. So yeah, that's by Vitality. For Furia, again, don't pick the IGL, especially if they're over 190. I just don't think it'll be worth it in the long run. I think you can definitely pick better players on some of the other teams for cheaper prices. As for Furia, Casarado, Yuri, and Jakinda were missing in Blast. Only Molodoi stepped up. And I think looking at the pricing, definitely pick Molodoi over Casarado because he's cheaper and he's been their star most recently. Jakindar and Yuri, I don't mind us to double up, but honestly I would just pick one. Again, it's the same problem as Vitality where all four players can go off. They can all pop off, and they are quite expensive as well. They're with the cheapest being Yuri at 210. So just be careful with this. I think just picking one. If you feel comfortable with Furia, pick one of them, and then fill your team with other players that might have better value. Falcons. So with Falcons, I think Kickson is fine at 192 because he actually can frag for an IGL. It's not my favorite pick. I think I would rather pick Tessis and hope that his early start of the year is a sign for things to come. He does struggle in big games, so just be careful with that. And Aurora is a big game, so I don't know if how Tessis will perform there. Monacia 230 again is strong, but is your it depends on how highly you think of Falcons. I don't think of them very highly. I think they're still a team that needs to work on a lot of the basics. Sometimes they look really strong, and then sometimes they just lose the way of how to play. They get lost in mid rounds. If they're not doing like a specific set piece of like on CT side, if they're not doing like set like plays beforehand, just look lost. I think Kyosuke and Nico might not be working together. I think Nico has given Kyosuke too many of his positions, and Nico just looks lost on CT because he can't be as active as he wants to be. But I think value-wise, Muncie's still good value. I think I'd rather go with Donk or ZywOo instead of him, or spend down for another gold if I were you. Kyosuke is probably a better pick at 215 for Falcons. And then Nico, if you believe in Nico, the Nico buff, then go ahead and pick him. Otherwise, I'd probably skip on Falcons. For Mouse, I think they have a great first matchup against BC Game. Actually, BC Game or NRG? NRG. So I think they'll do really strong there. I think I will skip on Spinks and Searchin. They're too expensive. Again, gold players should be like your Donks and your ZywOos, or players that have relatively high rating. As well, I think Spinks and Searchin are just a little bit too inconsistent. I think my favorite pick for sure has to be Torshi. He hasn't stepped up much recently, but you definitely see his potential there. I don't mind Jim Hat either at 201. And then Brolin at 186 is actually not that bad either for an IGL. So if you believe in Mouse, and they should get a easy first matchup, they probably have one of the easiest matchups. Definitely pick into some of these players. For FaZe Clan, again, no Kerrigans. We don't pick Kerrigans these type of stages. Brokey start of the year really slow again. I'm a little afraid that the Brokey that we saw at the major, on the later stages of the major, is not the same Brokey we're going to see for the rest of the year. And it could be another Opper role switch for FaZe. Frozen Twist, I would rather pick Frozen because he's cheaper. And then Jacob is actually not bad at 182. For Paravision, this team has started off so strong, but can they keep it up? They are in the tougher group. I think the group that has the better all-around teams. But they started really strong. I think all 5 players have value. I would say Belchanak is definitely the least valuable of them, and I would say James and Noda is probably my favorite combination. But you can pick into Cello or even into Sway as well. For Navi, again, first matchup against Paravision, Alexi B versus James. This could be an amazing matchup. Can Navi look past what they did at Blast? They went out in the first round. They didn't even get past one match at Blast, so it's not looking great for them. Players here that you have to pick. Alexi B is not that bad as 177. If you want a cheap player, you can go with him. I think all four players, all silver players, are pickable, but I would choose Bit before anyone else, and then I would pick between Ime and Makase. Probably skip on Wonderful just because he's the most expensive. For Spirit, I think here's one of the best value players. I think Sontex at 184 is really good. He started off the year weak, so he's putting it under a 1 rating, but I think there's something there. I think just Sontex needs to get used to his current role in the team. From what I'm hearing, Magix is the IGL, but Sontex is very involved as well in calling. So hopefully it's just that he's trying to get used to being more of a voice in the team. But at 184 is definitely great value, so definitely look there. Magix and Tanier, both are solid options. rather pick Tenier just because the upside is a lot higher than Magic's. And then Shiro and Donk, I also like. Donk is probably the best value, and he'd probably be one of the best value players in general for the whole event. But can you build a team around him? I'm not sure. I also do like Shiro as well as an alternate. I think he always performs well. He's super consistent. He'll give you that 1.2 to 1.25 rating. For Mongols, can they do what they did at the major with the stand-in and controllers, and now they get a better player in Kobrasera, a young player ready to take that sensu roles? It can happen. I would probably skip on Messinho and 910, even though 910 has posted the best ratings of the team over the last 6 months. I think they're just too expensive for a team that we're not even sure if they're going to make it out of this stage. Kobrasera is interesting at 187. If he can put up anything close to what Sensu's output was, then definitely look into him. Otherwise, I think Blitz and Techno are both solid options. I would probably pick Techno just because it's cheapest, and he has better roles as well. So he has, I think, Headshot Machine, and he might have the eco-friendly role as well. For G2, again, another team with value, but can they make it to the next stage? They are in a tough group in Group A, and they do have a tough matchup against Mongols in the first match, so that's not going to be easy. Players that I like here, I think I just skip on Heavy God for now. He's been the most consistent, but he is the most expensive, and also Malbs. Just skip on both of them. Take a look into Matty S if you want a solid rifler there at 193. Really great value. He's super consistent as well. For G2. And then between Hunter and s1mple, I'm going to go s1mple just because I believe more in the long-term stats. He started off really slow this year in stage 1. He put up a 0.88 rating, so it's really poor, while Hunter was the top rating-wise for the team. But maybe that could switch now with tougher precision, and maybe s1mple finally wakes up in stage 2. 3 max, I wouldn't pick into them, but if you are interested, definitely look into Body. I think Body is probably the best value out of this. Maybe Lucky as well, because he did quite well in stage 1. Otherwise, just skip on 3D Max. Aurora, again, another team that's struggled to get here. They're still definitely working things out. I don't know if the Jota to Soulfly change is going to help them out. I think it's just that Major might need more help in calling. I just don't think the calling's been great. And I think if it's not Centaurus or Rocadia bailing you out, I don't know what they do. Again, for Aurora, just pick into probably like Rocadia. It's probably the best value, or maybe Woxic. Otherwise, don't pick any of them. Astralis, they performed really well last stage. Javi at 184 is good value, and so is Stair. Skip on C and Ryu. But Hooksy at 168, if you're looking for a dunk draft, or you're trying to get his really expensive players, Hooksy is an interesting option. All he has to do is just win one game, and he could be value at 168. I'm not saying he's going to be amazing, but this is probably one of the cheapest players we've seen in a while. So definitely look into Hooksy if you are interested in those dunk drafts, ZywOo drafts, for example. Food, I'm liking what I see from Food. They're not respecting anyone. They are playing their way of Counter-Strike, but I think this might be a step too far. They're still very young, and they still got a lot to learn on LAN. But I think if you want to pick into here, Longs at 182 is pretty good. Kraveni as well at 179. I think those are two of my favorite ones from there. NRG, if you believe in North America Counter-Strike, then you pick NRG. Otherwise, do not pick NRG. If I were to pick anyone from NRG, it's definitely OC and Bro. Those two were the top players from that stage, and I think they will perform quite well here as well, if you believe in them. Otherwise, don't pick into them, because they probably will go 0-2. I mean, they're facing Mouse in the first game, and they're probably gonna face the loser of Falcons, Aurora. So yeah, probably the end for NRG here. And then finally, BC game, the s1mple team, the team that somehow got their way through to this stage. Um, it wasn't tactics. It was basically not letting s1mple down and trying to win with s1mple in there. If you want to pick into them, I guess s1mple is your option because he's been the top fragger, as well as Electronic. Those two have been their best players, and then I think Crazy was their third best player as well, putting up some solid performances. But enough about that. Let's talk about my team, and this will be my team for this stage. So I am going 3 oppers. I'm going with Shira, Torshi, and some Pius, and then picking Sontix, who I think is great value at 184, and then someone from Vitality with Messi. I think in general, I do like Spirit's matchups in Group A, I believe, and I think they'll do great there. I don't expect them to. I expect them to at least make it to the next stage. So if they do, then I think Sontix and Shiro are always strong there. Some Pius, it is a little bit of a punt in Group A. I don't know if I expect G2 to make it past the group stages, but if they do, some Pius is not bad at 185. I looked at other players such as Hunter or someone from Mongols as well. That's the only 2 that I looked at. Maybe Brolin for Mouse if I wanted to double up on Mouse, but I think I'd rather just go with some Pius and hope for the best there. Torshi, I do like Mouse's first initial matchup against NRG. I think Torshi could farm there, and then if they beat Falcons or Aurora, then it could be good value there. And then Messi, I think I want to have some stability. I want to have a team that I know for sure will make it to the next stage, and I think Vitality is that team. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Happy to be back. Apologies if there was any issues with this video, but yeah, good luck, have fun, and see you for the next time.